Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome back to PoducateMe, the ESL podcast. Hi, guys. Today, I'm very excited about this topic. We have a couple of very special guests with us today by the name of Divya and Adi. Hi, guys.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Hi. Oh my God, we're so excited because today's conversation is going to be all about the money. And the topic of our talk is the money talk that we never had at home. So take out your notepads, guys, because you're going to be taking a lot of useful notes for sure. But before we start our official interview, let me give you a little bio and intro to our guests. So, Adi and Divya are the money mindset couple. They work with families, newcomers, working professionals, and retirees to simplify how money truly works in Canada, especially areas that are often misunderstood or never formally taught. As a part of the National Financial Literacy Campaign, they offer interactive, easy to understand sessions covering key concerns such as reducing estate taxes, creating tax efficient retirement income, bypassing probate costs, maximizing government benefits, and strengthening long term financial security. These sessions that the guys offer, they are purely educational and they are focused on clarity, empowerment, and proactive planning to help protect families and future generations. Wow, that is great. Hannah and I, we met Divya at one of the networking events, and Divya expressed her interest of being interviewed for our podcast. And we, of course, were very much curious to learn some more stuff about money. So, welcome, guys. Eddie, Divya, we cannot wait to hear everything that you want to share with us about the money. So I guess
Amazing,
that,
amazing. Let's get
yeah.
started.
And thanks a lot for having us
Yes,
at your podcast.
I
Oh,
really appreciate that.
we're so excited to have such like experts to talk to. It's such an important it real financial literacy is such an important thing, and you're right, like this is the talk we never really had at home. So
Hmm.
personally, for me, growing up here in Canada, of course, in the school, we weren't taught anything about like finances, how to take care of our money. This was not even something that was covered at all, and we were just kind of left to fend for ourselves in adulthood, right? And
Yeah.
so now, like, I'm in a place, or and also Helen probably is also in a
Hmm.
place where we have to try and navigate these things and plan for retirement and how to save our money and what do we do with our money and all of this stuff. So I think my first question to you both is like what do you mean, what do we mean when we say like we never had the money talk growing up?
Yeah, so I'll just give the answer for this one. When we say we never had the money talk, we are not saying our parents didn't care or they didn't wanted to have a talk with us. Most of them were hardworking and they wanted to provide the best they could in their capacity, right? But nobody really explained us how taxes work, how debt works, what investing really means, or how do we build wealth instead of just earning income for the rest of our lives, right?
Yeah.
So money talks at home were either stressful or it was completely silent. So we
Hmm.
grew up learning how to work for money, but not how money really works for us ultimately, right?
I
So
love
that's
it.
the gap that people do follow. I see that gap back home. And surprisingly, Canada is one of the richest country in the world, but it's very unfortunate that I could see the same gap being followed here in, as well. So I see the gap in newcomers as well as Canadians. So I think
Hmm.
it's the time that we as parents or people around us should really talk about money. Having said that, with professionals and not just go with friends and family, right? Having
Hmm.
these talks.
I agree. Yeah, there's you get so much information from different people trying to give advice, and you hear bits here, you hear bits here, but you don't know what is actually real or what can actually work
Hmm.
for you personally.
Exactly. Not having any initial like background or
Yeah.
foundation for this knowledge. It's so hard to make right choices and right decisions. Yeah. Awesome. So, the next question that I would like to ask you is, how do you actually help people learn about the money?
Okay, you want to go for it?
Perfect, sure. So, we're not an employee at the bank, or basically, I would say when people talk about financial education or financial literacy, right? So, usually the first picture that comes to our mind is like a banking institution or a traditional industry, a person,
Mm-hmm.
probably like me, but having a big stomach and some fat old guy sitting over there. That's a traditional picture, right? Money, some boring stuff on that,
Yeah.
on that lines. So I would say we are not an employee at the bank, but we are mainly self-employed. We have our own financial planning, financial education. I would stress on education more on this part because when we say finances, a lot of people like start running away. Okay, finance boring, it's not my cup of tea and all those things, right? So we mainly have this goal on educating you that it's not about running away, but it's about running towards it, right? So that said, we are associated with 200 plus companies in entire North America, including
Wow.
US, Canada, and right now we also cover Mexico for that reason. So when I sit with families, it gives me power of choice to design strategies and solutions that work well for that particular family, right? Because when I'm sitting with a family, not one solution fits all. Like it could be like one of you may have different goals compared, even like between husband and wife, there could be different goals for that matter, right? It
Exactly.
shouldn't be like husband controls wife's finances or vice versa. Everybody has their own choices, everybody has their own goals, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not a salesperson. I wouldn't say I'm a salesperson. If I'm selling something, it's purely education, right? So my role is education first. And I work with families across Canada to simplify how money works in this country, especially for newcomers and the first generation immigrants. Because what happens is we come with a mindset how money worked back home, that's the same way it would work over here, right? Because money is money. That's what it's natural about think about it because nobody really thinks about educating us in that direction. So we talk about tax efficient strategies, estate planning. What is estate in Canada? Why does it matter to you to learn about it? Government benefits, how are different government benefits? You can maximize them in different walks of your life. Retirement income planning, protection planning, because that's the main concept over here, right? I'm earning money, I'm making money. But
Mm-hmm.
what if my capacity to earn that income is gone? Right, everything I'm building on is because I have the potential. I have a heart running here which is pumping 24/7 based on what I'm doing all my activities, right? So
Yeah.
these are mainly the mindset stuff that we talk about to people, educate them. So when I say financial education, it's 90% mindset and 10% techniques, right?
That's right.
Awesome.
And I think that's such a good way to put it. You're educating people, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that I think when we met Divya, that's something that we were sharing. We're in education, we're in the field of ESL
Mm-hmm.
education, but you guys are in the field of financial education. And that's something that we were like talking about and sharing with each other, something that we found commonality with,
Yeah.
right?
And I really loved what you Adi said about like that people come with like certain mindset. So I guess that I'm gonna uh, closely come to our next question because like from the mindset that I come from my home country, it's like older generation, they don't trust banks. Like banks are evil. They don't trust
Mm,
banks. So like your investments, not investments, like your savings and money, you keep it in a mason jar under the mattress of your bed. Like that's the thing, you know?
cool, old school.
Old school, yeah. I know that like younger generation nowadays, they like have a different relationship with money and banks. But for like the generation of my parents, it's like, nope, banks are evil.
So
It's
funny.
true.
So what are some of the like most common questions that people ask you about their finances? And then part two of the question, I guess, are there any like mistakes? Are there any financial mistakes that you commonly see in people that they just kind of simply make because no one really explained the system to them?
Yeah. So we sit with a lot of families and we could pick the most common questions that come to us. The
Yeah.
first question is, should I do RRSP or TFSA?
Ooh,
How
Hmm.
do I
Okay.
save taxes? When should I invest? What is the right time to invest? The fourth question is, how much insurance do I need? But the deeper issue is this: most people are making decisions based on fragments of information, right? The information is
Hmm.
scattered all over the internet, and with AI coming into picture, people have so much information and so much resources, but it's all scattered.
yes.
So common mistakes that we see is investing only for tax refund and not for long-term strategy, right? Another mistake that people do is ignoring estate taxes. Very big concept in Canada, right? Which people are not aware of. The third most mistake people do is not reviewing their plans regularly. At least they need to review their plans 6 months or quarterly, right? So they
Yeah.
know what's the progress on their profile. The fourth mistake is taking advice from friends and family instead of professionals. So it's not
I'm never
ignorance.
listening to you again.
Yeah, so it's not ignorance, but it's just lack of structured guidance, the first, and it's also like going with the flow, right? So
Yeah.
my friends around me are doing this, so maybe probably it's working for them, so I'll do the same, right? So it's probably not ignorance, but yeah, you need some structured guidance from a professional. Like if you have a disease or you have some problem with your body, right? You prefer going to a doctor and not to the internet, because
Yeah.
that will not give a proper strategy to you. Or it's also like you don't want to have something else, like some other results which your body might not take, because there will be generic solutions on internet, right? But
Yeah.
coming to finance as well, we consider ourselves as financial doctors, because everyone's
Ooh.
short term and long term goals are different, but the internet cannot have a generic solution for all. So it's always better to go to a professional, get your checkup done at
Yeah.
least twice in a year, and then see for yourself if that's working for you.
That's exactly right. Those questions that you mentioned are the exact same ones that I had, and I went looking on the internet, Googling, watching YouTube videos. I just went down a whole rabbit hole, but it just got so overwhelming with all of the information and all of the opposing information that there was out there. And everybody has different priorities, or everybody has different goals, financial goals especially, right? So you have to kind of you have to know what works for
Mhm.
you personally. Yeah.
I
Um,
would add to that a little bit. Usually, what happens is, even in our situations when we came to Canada 8 years ago, 8, 9 years ago, right? So the first thing we go to is Google, right? Because that's how our brain is wired to. But the
Yeah.
thing, like you mentioned exactly, like there's a lot of information out there. And the biggest thing is there is Chat GPT right now, nowadays, right? Chat GPT, all these AIs. But I tell people this thing, unless I know what to ask it exactly, I'm not going to get the right answer from it, right? Because
Yeah.
it's always going to give me answer in my favor, what I want to hear about. But if I'm sitting with a real human, he may criticize, but it's only for my good, because he has some intelligence with which he can see what is your entire lifespan going to be, right? Because when
Yeah.
I sit with people, I have seen a particular kind of person go from point A to point B. So I have that perspective. If you do this, okay, this is how it's going to look like. If you do this, this is how it's going to look like, right? So
yeah.
yeah, it's adding on top of
I have a confession to make. Like half of the things that Divya mentioned, like I have zero knowledge about them at all. Like estate taxes, like what? Like what is that? So, but I'm not ashamed. I mean, like I'm here to learn, right? And to ask questions. So my next question is, please explain to me, like I'm 5. What are some of the most important things someone should understand about their own finances?
Amazing. That's a very great question, because, and this question shouldn't be complicated. I mean, the answer should be, as you mentioned, like explain to me as I'm 5, right?
Yes,
So
please.
perfect. So there are mainly three things I would say. First is what is coming in and what is going out. Like
Mhm.
I'm going out making some money. Yes, I'm getting a paycheck every bi-weeks or every 2 weekly, semi-monthly. Everything is happening. But I'm spending money on rent. Usually when a paycheck comes in, right? What we do? We first pay the tax,
Yep.
then we pay the rent or the mortgage. Then thing is taken out as groceries. Then
Mhm.
maybe we pay the Wi-Fi bill, the phone
Bills.
bill.
Yeah.
After that could be the car loans if you're driving, the fuel cost, the vacations. After that, if there is something remaining, that is what is going to be my own thing, right? So when I
Yes.
say pay yourself first, we are actually not paying ourselves. The money is just coming in and we are paying everybody else. My rent, my grocery, my tax, right? So that's the first thing, cash flow. If I have to build my finances, the first thing that somebody should understand is what is my cash flow, what's coming in, what's going out, and
Mhm.
what's sitting in my account, right? Because budgeting, if you say budgeting, people think, oh, budget means I have to put restrictions, I don't have to spend. But budgeting is just knowing where you're spending so that you're aware of that, right? It's not about I have to reduce my shopping. Yeah, maybe that could be one thing if I'm overspending somewhere, but at least understanding, okay, I am spending this much every month on here. It's not going in a rabbit hole. Okay, I don't know where my money is going. That's what people say, right? I am making, but I don't know where it's not being saved. So that should not be a question. Then second thing is, I would say it's not just about how much you earn, but how much you keep to yourself. Like, how do I reduce my taxes? Because the thing what happens is as we go higher in our careers, we obviously everybody of us, all four of us, you two, will be increasing our income. But we are only focused on that one point, increasing my income. But under the hood, we are also increasing our taxes, right? Tax brackets in Canada. So
Yeah.
technically, if you see over the lifespan of a Canadian, average savings are the same because income goes up, lifestyle goes up. I had one car, now I want a Mercedes, now I want an Audi. Earlier, I had one bedroom apartment, now I want a two-bedroom apartment. So if I have more money in my hand and it has not given out different doors to park into, that money is going to vaporize, right?
Yeah.
So understanding the cash flow, how much is coming and how much is going out, understanding how much taxes I'm paying, and lastly is time, because time is on my favor, correct? That's the only one thing I can control. If I start late, that time is gone. I cannot get it back, right?
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be, there's two things, right? One is misinformation. I am not informed on things. But second thing is I am too much informed. There's no action. That's what happens, right? I get a lot of information from here and there. I just keep consuming information, but it becomes so confusing at one point. I am not able to take right action at right time.
Yeah.
Right? So keeping a control of time, knowing what is coming in, going out, and having a control on taxes. That's the main thing somebody should understand about finances before going anything ahead, like investing. All those things are like later stuff, but at least understanding where's my money coming in.
I would say, yeah, I really relate to that last point. I think that was like a big mistake. I would say even personally, like years just getting a lot of information and just not taking any action, just looking at it and just seeing that it's there and knowing that I have to do something and just not doing anything about it. That was kind of one of the biggest mistakes, I guess, I would say personally that I really relate to. And I read somewhere or I heard somewhere, it's just like somebody said, it's never too late, just start. Like as soon as you're aware that you should start is when you should start. Like
Absolutely.
don't even
Yeah.
think about like, oh, is it too late for me to start investing at this age or thinking about how to optimize like my taxes or whatever.
Better
Just do
late
it.
than never.
Yeah, better late than never. Just do it, right? Yeah.
And also, I get the association with my 5-year-old brain, probably, like about the first point that Adi mentioned. It's like about proper dieting. Like it's not about restriction, it's about the balance,
Yeah.
like finding the right balance and finding what's right to you, and not about like very, very strict restrictions.
Yeah.
Amazing advice. Love it.
So, what are some ways that we can like avoid these common money mistakes that we see?
So that's actually one perspective would be the biggest mistake which people make, connecting to my previous question.
Yeah.
They want to do some things. Like there are two types of people. One is, okay, they're not understanding what to do. Second category of people is they realize, okay, they need to do it, but they're not able to do it.
Yeah.
The main reason is lifestyle inflation, right? Because there's a line which I like to, I have heard from a renowned personality. So he says, we always spend the money that we don't have to impress the people that we don't like, right?
Yeah,
Because
love it.
we see our five friends on Instagram going to some good hotel, 7-star restaurant, and then we feel like, okay, what he thinks about me, I don't have money, I'm not going there, so let me also go and post some pictures. So we may not have the need for that, we may not even necessarily have the money for that, because we might swipe credit cards over there, but we just go in there for posting pictures to just stay in the limelight, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times we do have a lot of money, right? People, the problem in Canada is not making money. There are a lot of opportunities to make money, but the problem is keeping that money in the pocket and not letting it go off. So first is lifestyle inflation. Living under your means, what usually is the saying, right? So under your means means people think, okay, I need to restrict, I don't have to buy things. No, you can buy it, but make sure you're also paying yourself first and then you're splurging over there, right? So you can have a best of both the worlds. And then second is the same thing, like as your income increase, your expenses also increase faster. So have a track of those things. That's one of the biggest mistake. We just feel like, okay, tomorrow I got a big bonus, let me spend everything on a Mexico trip. There's nothing wrong about going on a Mexico trip, but at least
Yeah.
make sure 10% I'll keep it. Rest maybe I can spend on a trip, right?
Mhm.
And then second is no protection, because when I say protection, it's about protecting your income. Because whatever I'm building, let's say tomorrow I get a home, I have a bigger car, I have my family, I have my kids, which I don't right now, but let's say I plan for kids, I have my aging parents back home. All their responsibilities are on my head, right? And my head technically meaning my income. They're all dependent on my income. It could happen tomorrow I go out on the driveway, a car strikes me, I am done, right? So who will take care of those people, right? If something happens to me, a critical illness happens, if I fall sick, maybe few months I'm not earning. But at that same time, the mortgage is not going to stop. They won't tell, okay, you're sick, keep aside the payment. The landlord won't tell, okay, don't pay the rent, that's fine. The mobile bills won't stop, right? So I need to make sure if my income is not coming with my own capacity, my income has to be replaced somehow, right? Or else what happens is we see GoFundMe campaigns, right? Some people passes away, they just, it's technically I call it to be professional begging.
Mm.
So, we say on that, okay, he in the loving memory of somebody. But if that person really loved his family, he wouldn't have left his family to beg somewhere outside, right? So, having a protection for your own family is very important rather than investing. Because if I'm investing something, it's for long term. But in the short term, what if something happens, right? So,
Yeah.
protecting my income is the biggest mistake that people just neglect, because we protect our mobile phones, we have insurance for our car, we have insurance for our laptop, so we are protecting that thing which is worth $1,000 or 2,000. But what about protecting $1 million life,
Mhm.
right? So that is what is the biggest mistake which people do. Nothing wrong about investing, everybody should be doing it for long term, because I have to buy a house, I have to buy a car, I have to buy all those things. But what if something happens before that? Who's going to fund everything else? That is my insurance, right? And third thing is like postponing. I'll figure it out later, and that later comes after 10 years.
Yeah.
And around that, a lot of things have happened, a lot of things have changed. Some things are not in my control.
Yeah.
So avoiding them is simple. Have a review system. Sit with somebody twice a year, once a year, just to review your things. Okay, I'm doing good or not. Just let me know. Figure it out. Have some accountability to somebody. Because if I'm just sitting with myself, I may figure out something which are easier for myself. I may not go towards a difficult path, right? So having an accountability with your husband, wife, or could be somebody else. And then mainly treat money like your health, right? Because sometimes hear a lot of people, everything else, they get busy in a lot of things. But if one bad thing happens to their health, then the entire focus is the health, right? So protecting your own income earning capacity, your life, health, and disability is the biggest thing, which is the biggest common mistake I see in people.
Okay, we have a very long list of mistakes to reflect on. And I have a question for Divya. If you can tell us like one simple habit that can help people feel more in control of their money. So we'll think on our mistakes, we'll contemplate on that, but what is one habit that we can implement like today, tomorrow, that will help us feel more in control and more confident?
Okay. So personally, what I do, I'll just tell it out of my experience. People know what kind of income they are getting, and they assume that this much chunk, okay, I'm spending 30% of my income to XYZ stuffs, right? But what I'll say is it's all going on in the mind. So if you really want to, in layman terms, if you want to understand what's happening with your own hard-earned money, you need to write it down. So what me and Aditya personally do is we have Excel sheets wherein we write down everything so we know, or we have accountability of, okay, we spent, this is our total income. This is how much we spent in probably Jan of 2026 and then Feb of 2026. Write it down so that you have 100% visibility of what's coming in and what's going out. And then you know exactly where you're spending a little extra, and probably some of the things that you can control and is in your control to maybe have better expense in March. So
Yeah.
people do have this accounting thing done here and there, but it's mostly what we see, it's in their mind, it's not on paper. So there are a lot of hidden costs and hidden expenses that people don't track, and
Yeah.
that's when they make a mistake.
I totally agree with this, because you really don't realize even if you just spend like $5 here,
Mm-hmm.
$2 here, it all really does add up,
Yeah,
right? So
totally.
writing it down and having just being able to see exactly where every dollar goes,
Yeah.
that's a really good tip.
And
Yeah. Also,
especially,
just want to add there. I've seen my friends before joining this campaign, right? I used to meet friends who are like, if they have to go on a trip, if we have to split the bills, is like $100, right? People would say like, oh, it's super expensive. We cannot put in $100, right? Because we were students, and that's how $100 used to look
Mhm.
like a huge amount. But then I would see people spending $2 for a coffee every single day outside for 50 days. But
Yeah.
that's also $100, you know?
Yeah. And another problem that I personally experienced, because back home growing up, I'm used to cash. Like it was always like cash. And spending cash is like you're more mindful of it because like the wad gets like smaller, 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 smaller and smaller because it's physical. You can see it like disappearing. But having your credit card, especially like on your phone, like it's just like tap, 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 tap. And then only by the end of the month or whatever, you have your like statement coming in. You're like, what? Who spent all
So
my
true.
money?
Yeah,
Very true.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be really, I really do like that tip. I think that's such a
Hmm.
realistic,
Just like
simple,
keeping track.
exactly,
Yeah.
simple thing that everyone can do. And it doesn't take up a lot of time, really, either,
Hmm.
right? And, going back to what we were talking about in the beginning and how this isn't really something that we learn at home or at school or anywhere for that matter. What are some things that, like schools or banks, for example, what are some things that they can do a better job at in terms of teaching the just the basics of like financial literacy?
Okay, I'll give the answer for this one. So first of all, we need practical education, not theory. Okay.
Yeah.
And the schools and banks, for that matter, I'll focus on schools. It needs to have complete focus on first, the topic needs to how to file taxes, right?
Yeah.
Second biggest teaching that no one is talking about this, but every adult has to file tax, right? So why is it not taught in school or for that matter in your colleges, right?
Yeah.
Second biggest thing to teach practically is how credit cards actually calculate interest or how credit cards work,
Yeah,
right?
that would be awesome.
Third is how mortgages work, right? Because eventually people have, every person has that dream of having a car and a house. So every individual for that matter should understand how our mortgage is calculated. How does it work, right?
Yeah.
And finally, I would say what investing means beyond buy low and sell high, right? What is
Mm.
seller's market? What is buyer's market, right? Things
Yeah.
like this. So financial literacy should be a mandatory subject in school, like math or history class, right? Because it affects every individual, it affects every adult.
Yeah.
But why is no one talking about it,
Yeah,
right?
it's true.
So I think financial literacy is one such topic which should be mandated no matter where you live in the world.
I fully agree. I mean, I guess I haven't been in school in a very long time, so I can't really say to the current curriculum if they are being taught that. I really truly hope so. But yeah, back when I was in school, this was not a topic at all. People were just like, study your math subject, study your English subject, get into a good university, and you'll succeed in life. Like
Yeah,
that's all we were taught.
so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and to finish off the interview before our quick fire round, the question for, I guess, both of you or whoever wants to answer. So, with the current cost of living in Canada, which is like, whew, what are some realistic first steps for savings?
Perfect. So, as you said, right, the expression that came out of your mouth when you see the current economy. So, the current economy is more about people are looking for security, right? There's no jobs out there, all of those things. So, people are really worried about what if something happens now
Yeah.
versus future is fine, I'll take care of it. So, I would say first thing first, taking a baby step would be saving some emergency fund aside. At least your 1 to 2 months of your living expenses could be your rent, could be mortgage, could be groceries, so that you at least have a roof if the ground beside beneath you has to collide, right? If you don't have a job, something happens. So usually what happens, right? A lot of people talk about investing, with simple, all of these things. Okay, I'm putting in stocks, bonds. But when something like this happens, they don't have anything set aside. So they have to withdraw every money that they are investing for the future for the current
Yeah.
emergency. So I usually tell people, yeah, invest for the future, but in the current economy, the first step is save something on the side. You usually, like we were taught, put something under your pillow. Literally put
Mhm.
something under your pillow which you'd never see. If something happens, that is my emergency, right? Or else
Mhm.
what happens if I get a call from back home, that's my one bank account, I need to book a ticket. If some emergency happens, that's my one bank account, I book a ticket. I need to go to a trip, that's my one account, I book a ticket from there, right? Everything is in one bucket. So just make sure to, separate out an emergency fund. From there, take a small step, at least $50 a month. Put aside into an account like a TFSA account, tax-free savings account. Automate it, because we never, our minds are never designed to prioritize saving. We are
Yeah.
always designed to automatically pay tax. Taxes are already taken out. We have the habit of paying debts. It's automated every single month. We are paying phone, like we take out the phones and everything, right? On programs, 12-month program, 24-month program. So same like that, just automate your savings every month,
Yeah.
$50, $100, so that you don't have to, go out there and personally save. It just automatically been taken care of. And then at the end of the 12 months, if you see, okay, I have $1,000 there, that's good. That gives you confidence to do it more. Then next month you double it up. Next month you triple it up, right?
Exactly.
And then mainly review your subscriptions, because that is what I personally felt. I had a lot of subscriptions which I never used, right? When somebody used to ask me, I used to
Mhm.
go to the gym before, I do now, but initially it was not that regular. So when somebody used to ask me, how's the gym going? I used to say, yeah, gym is going good. But he meant, are you actually going to the gym? Yeah, gym is going, but what about you? Right?
Yeah.
So I was
Gym is
actually
good
paying
getting my
30.
money. Yeah, but me not going there.
Exactly. So gym is going, the Amazon is going, I'm using Prime, but is it actually required, right? Okay, so
Mm.
Yeah.
Amazon is fine. I mean, a lot of people order stuff, books, and all those things. You might benefit from that. That is fine. But lot of subscriptions, like let's say YouTube Premium, or for that matter, some Canva, a lot of things which we spend
Mhm.
on $50, $100 a month. Uber Eats, we might have taken out before, but we may not be spending right now. We not be
Yeah.
using it that
Yeah.
much, right?
It adds
So
up.
easily people can find $50, $100 every month if we just take a look at where we are overspending, where we are spending in the hindsight, we don't know. It just getting deducted from the
Mhm.
bank accounts, right? So it's easy to find that $50, $100 every month, and that's good enough to just kickstart your savings in this economy as well. And I would say, mainly just focus on multiple streams of income, because
Mm.
everybody is right now hanging on one single sword, right? For me, my employer is everything.
Hmm.
But for my employer, I am easily replaceable, right? So
Yeah.
I'm building my own life on just one source of income. Okay, today if I lose my job, that's fine. I am in a good shape. I can, I am abreast with all the knowledge. I can like switch my jobs, all those things. But what if 10 years down the line, people with two kids, a mortgage, all of those things, when they lose their job, it's too difficult for them to survive in today's economy.
Yeah.
So
So I
true.
always urge people to, have some secondary source of income. If you have some skills, if you have some hobbies, try to monetize that, so
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you build a backup plan. So you are not depending on your employer. If your employer kicks, before your employer kicks you off, you can kick them off, right?
So
So
true.
having a secondary source of income, having some
Yeah.
emergency funds, it's a good place to start.
Yeah. I would really like to reiterate that what you said about setting up recurring deposits. Like you really just you don't even miss the
Mhm.
money. Like when you set up those deposits, you don't think about it. And that's such a good benefit, right? Like it just comes out of your account. Like I have mine set up to my savings and my TFSA, my RSP. I
Mhm.
have it set up exactly on the day that I get paid so that I don't even see that money.
It's basically like the prepaid subscriptions. Basically, they are going like in a good place.
In
Exactly.
a good
Yeah.
direction. Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. Awesome. Okay. So, and now it's time for our favorite quick fire round. And in our quick fire round, we're going to ask you three questions and we're going to ask you to answer with the first thing that comes to your mind. I guess that you guys, because like you came as a couple, you each get an answer. Okay.
Okay.
So, the first question, dun dun dun, cash or card?
Card. Card for tracking, but discipline matters more than the method, right? So discipline, I would give it. Discipline is the
Okay.
answer, but then yeah, card.
I would
Awesome.
say, cash.
Ooh, interesting. I feel like you guys are going to have a talk after that recording.
That's a very interesting answer.
Uh-huh.
Okay, second quick fire question. Budgeting app or a good old-fashioned notebook?
Budgeting app for me. I think
Okay.
we'll have a notebook for sure as an answer, but whatever actually works, but it's all
I'm
about
starting
being
to see
consistent.
I'm starting to see the differences here. I feel like
Interesting.
He's more
Yeah.
tech savvy. I like it. I have been that way. I like it more good old school.
Writing
One
down.
hand.
Awesome. Okay, and the last one, one word that describes financial literacy for you.
It's for me, it's freedom.
Freedom. Yes.
Oh, love it. So beautiful.
That's
Very good
really good.
answer.
And that's
Yeah.
such a great way to
Yeah.
end today's chat.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for all of the knowledge and all of this information and advice that you have provided today. I'm it's such valuable knowledge and valuable you know, information for
Mhm.
anybody, really. It doesn't even have to be here in Canada, but anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody who's making money, which is,
Yeah, which is everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Very
exactly.
true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
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 Thank you so much, Adi and Divya. To be honest, I got a little anxious about like all of the things that you said, but also a lot of interesting and exciting and promising things that I'm like, you know what? I know where to start
Yeah.
or where to continue and what mistakes I make or made in the past and how to fix them. So thank you so much for coming and sharing this information with us. And for all of our listeners out there, we're going to leave Adi and Divya's information in the description of this episode so you guys can contact our money power couple so that you can learn maybe something new. Yeah.
Thank
So
you. Thank you
once
so much.
again.
much.
Thank you so much for
Yes,
having
and
us.
thank you for letting the audience as well know some of the things. I hope this podcast will benefit them. And surely people can reach out to us. We are more than happy to help. And yeah, it's a good way of education, people coming together, because education is the key right now.
Yeah.
People are missing out on a lot of information, and confusion is the biggest problem, which people might make unknown mistakes and they might regret for it 30 years later, right? So let's
Yeah.
True.
educate each and every person around in our community, and that's the way we give confidence in a way to Canadians.
Love
And
it.
let's
That's
make
such
finance
a
fun than boring. Let's
Yeah.
make it
Make
fun.
finance fun. I love it.
exactly. I love it. Such a powerful and positive
That's
message to
that's
end
right.
this episode. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And we'll
Thank
see
you.
everyone
Bye-bye.
in a couple of seconds in a language lab. Bye.
Bye. Take care.
Stay tuned. We have the Language Lab coming up next. Welcome back to Language Lab, where we take real conversations and audit the vocabulary.
That is so true. And this week we interviewed a couple who are financial advisors, which means that we talked about money, planning, investing, and the emotional roller coaster of opening your banking app.
That's right. And today we are dissecting the language that we used. No calculators required, just curiosity.
Love it. And the first word of the day is the word literacy. And the word literacy on its own means the ability to read and understand something. And of course, if we're talking about financial literacy, it means understanding how money works. So if money were a language, literacy would mean that you can actually speak it instead of nodding politely.
Which is
Uh-huh.
what happens to me a lot.
Yeah.
Estate. And we were talking about like estate taxes and handling the finances of your estate. Estate means all the money and the property somebody owns. Especially, it's used especially, I think, after people pass, like after people die. So it's just kind of like, plan before it gets a little bit awkward afterwards. Estate planning, right?
That's so true. And the next word is the word income. Very good word, very simple one to understand, because income is the money that you earn from work, investments, or any other sources. So it's literally the incoming money. They're coming in your account.
Yeah.
Income.
Fend. Fend is a verb, and to fend for yourself or to fend for something, it means to manage on your own, like to take care on your own, to defend yourself, that type of thing. For example, to fend for yourself financially means, you take care and you handle your own expenses and you handle your own responsibilities.
Mm-hmm. The word capacity is the next on the list, and capacity is the ability or power to do something. And when we talk about finance, financial capacity might mean how much you can invest or borrow. But also, the word capacity means like space.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we don't have the capacity to accommodate 100 people, let's say, in our restaurant.
Yeah. Or like
Mhm.
at a football stadium, you
At a
can say
football,
like,
yeah.
oh, this stadium has 40,000 people capacity, a
Mhm.
capacity for 40,000
Mhm.
people. Debt. Good word to know. Very.
Pronunciation alert.
There is a pronunciation alert. There is a silent B in debt, but it is not pronounced. And
Mhm.
debt means it's the not so fun word that means the money that you owe to somebody or to some thing like a bank, right?
Mhm.
Debt is, basically you borrow money and you have to give it back at some point.
Yeah. My cup of tea. Beautiful expression. I
Mm-hmm.
guess that it's definitely a British one. Like, oh, it's my cup of
True.
tea, or
Yeah,
not my
possibly.
cup of tea. Yeah. So, and your or my cup of tea means that it's something that you like or you enjoy doing. So, investing in crypto isn't my cup of tea, and it means that it's not your preference. Yeah,
That's not
crypto
mine.
is very creepy.
Yeah, definitely not my cup of tea. Vice versa. Great, great word to use in any sort of conversation. It means that whatever I said is true. And then when I say vice versa, the opposite is also true, right?
Mhm.
So if, for example, if I say like, if you save more, then you spend less, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Meaning also when you spend less, you save more. Same meaning.
Yeah. And we were talking a lot about different kinds of saving accounts.
Yeah.
And one of them is called TFSA. And this is an abbreviation and it stands for tax-free saving account. And guys, we're talking about Canadian banking system, okay? So TFSA or tax-free savings account is a registered account where investments can grow without being taxed. And think of it as money growing quietly without the government taking a slice of it.
Really great savings account
Yes,
to
way
have.
of save money.
Yeah, something that everybody should have. Another thing that everybody should have in Canada is what we call an RRSP. And again, in Canada, you will hear this everywhere. And this is what we talked about in the episode. Should I get a TFSA or should I get an RRSP? What is better? Of course, get both. An RSP is a different type of savings account. It's called a registered retirement savings plan. And it's a retirement account, basically. It's an account where you can save your money for later. And you can actually, okay, this is maybe getting a little technical, but it reduces your taxable income now, and then you can save it for later. So it's a really great way to think about your future and your retirement.
Fragment. Fragment is a small piece of something, like a part of something.
Yeah.
Like financial knowledge often comes in fragments before it becomes a full picture.
Yes. And next we have the word scattered. Great. Again, this is the type of word where the actual word kind of sounds like the meaning of the word, right? They're scattered. When we say something is scattered, it's like a little bit disorganized. It's here, it's there, it's everywhere. It's spread out, right? So your finances can be scattered. Your brain can be scattered. You can call someone like, oh, you're such a scatterbrain. So it's like, oh, I forgot this and I left this here and I forgot that here. You can be a scatterbrain. You can say, oh, like, my room is such a mess. My clothes are scattered everywhere, all over the floor.
Great one. The word ignorance, and ignorance means lack of knowledge. And one of my favorite expressions is ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if the person is ignorant, it means that they lack knowledge of something. And financial financial ignorance, it's not stupidity, okay? It's just not being taught.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's something that
there's
we talked about so much.
exactly. Yeah. And if you want to learn, you can always learn.
Exactly. Next, we have the word generic. When something is generic, it's not specific, it's not detailed, it's just the general thing. Like you may have heard a generic brand,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which means we're not specifying what brand exactly. You can just say it's a general whatever brand. Generic advice is again like just advice that you would receive, nothing special to you.
Uh-huh. Yeah. The next expression, word combination actually is a rabbit hole and usually used in the together with going down the rabbit hole. And it's a situation where you get deeply involved in researching something and often losing track of time. And I believe that this one comes from Lewis Carroll, Alice in Wonderland, because what she
Yes.
actually did, she went down the rabbit hole to
A literal
find out exactly. Yes, and she lost the track of time and everything. She got like
Yes.
so deeply involved in it.
I never even made that connection. You're
Yeah, I mean,
right.
I think so. Like this is the connection that I have in my mind
Makes
about this.
makes
Yeah.
total sense to me. Mortgage. Here again, a little bit of a pronunciation alert. There is a silent T in mortgage. It is not pronounced. A mortgage is a large loan, so money that you borrow so that you can buy property. So when you buy a home, of course, homes are very expensive, and
Mhm.
most people don't have actual cash to pay for a home. And so what most people will do is have a mortgage for their home, meaning they borrowed money from the bank and then they used it to buy their home. It's just a
Mhm.
very long-term relationship that you end up having with your
Yeah.
bank.
And fun, not very fun fact about the word mortgage, that the word is actually French and the silent T is there because the word is French and the word mort in French means death.
Oh, geez.
I know, I know.
That's depressing.
It is
Okay.
very depressing,
Eee.
but yeah. And the next word is the scary one also. So we started with this like topic of scary words. This is the word inflation. And inflation is the general increase in prices over time. Your money buys less, groceries feel dramatic, everything is just being like
Yeah.
inflated.
We're definitely feeling the inflation
Yeah.
these days in Canada for sure.
Mhm.
Okay. Even though, we've got inflation going on, sometimes you just feel like splurging, right?
Yes. I
Yes.
love the word
And
splurge.
when you splurge, it means that you're spending money just kind of freely or extravagantly. When you want to buy something that's like really expensive, but maybe not necessarily something you need, you say that it's a splurge,
Mhm.
right?
But again, splurging is not bad because you don't want to neglect your needs and yourself.
Very true.
Yes. And the word neglect means to fail to care for something or someone properly. Like again, if even if there is an inflation, you still want to splurge to buy something nice for yourself because you don't want to neglect self-care and self-love.
Self-care, self-love, very important.
Mhm.
Priorities, I would say. Contemplate. Contemplate is to think about something very carefully. So, before you make any big financial decisions, before you splurge, you
Mhm.
should maybe contemplate a little bit,
Mhm.
right?
Yes. The next expression is in layman's terms. And in layman's terms means explained in simple, non-technical language, like as if you're explaining to a 5-year-old, like what Adi and Divya did actually in the episode.
Yes.
So they explained to us a lot of difficult financial situations, the complex terms. They explained it just in layman terms.
Yeah.
So it would be understandable for us and for you guys.
And actually something that we try to do in
Yeah.
language
Oh my
terms.
God.
We really try to explain things in layman's terms, right? Next up, we have the word interest. And we all know the word interesting, right? When something is interesting, when something is fun, or something that I really like. However, this is a totally different word. This is about money. When we talk about interest in terms of money, it's the extra money that you pay for borrowing or something that you've like earned from saving something. So like it's basically how your money makes money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
So
costs
true.
money.
Mhm. Or costs money. And if we're talking about the costs, let's talk about the cost of living. And the cost of living is the amount of money that is needed to cover basic expenses like housing, food, and transportation. So it's the price tag for simply existing.
That's right.
The cost of living. Yeah.
And last up, we have the word tech savvy. And tech savvy, basically, we have the word tech, which is short for technology, and savvy means you're skilled at something, like you're very good at it. So when you put those two things together, tech savvy means you're skilled at technology. You're good at technology. And you can use this word savvy with a lot of things. So I can say you're tech savvy, book savvy, computer savvy, kitchen savvy. It basically means that you're skilled at whatever this thing is.
Yeah. And that concludes today's financial audit. No debt incurred, just vocabulary earned.
That's right. And remember, financial literacy isn't about being perfect. It's about striving to understand your money before it understands you. So keep listening, keep learning, and
Educate yourself.